I tell you I saw Lady Fig and all of her 5 daughters last week with Miss Chapman from Raleigh and Miss Hamilton was young. My goodness, I've never seen a family so plain in my entire life. They get me wretched. 5 sisters, so very plain. And their dresses, you even get a start. Poor Mr. Dashwood, carried away so suddenly. Woke one morning with a fever and drew his last gasp within a week. Poor Mr. Dashwood.
Poor Mr. Dashwood. And poor Mrs. Dashwood. I heard none of the inheritance went to his widow or his daughters.
No.
Not truly.
But Norland Park is such a great estate.
Were there very many debts?
No, it was a matter of the law.
Did somebody break the law?
No. Mr. Dashwood could not legally bequeath it to the ladies.
Ladies cannot inherit.
It all went to some son of his from a previous marriage. I think Mr. John Dashwood.
Good morning, Fanny Angel. You know, I was thinking about it last night. I think I'm going to give them £1,000 apiece to start their new life.
But wasn't he a rich man already?
Oh, yeah, he married into money. His wife, not a sympathetic creature, moved into Norland Park a day after the funeral without a word of notice to the new widow.
My dear John, how can you possibly think of taking £4,000 away from our little boy?
My father's last request was I provide for them, Fanny. So,
Dare I say it, your father did not know what he was talking about. £1,000.
did not specify any particular amount. Perhaps one half then. I think £500 apiece would be a great increase to their fortune.
£2,000. What brother on earth would do that for even his real sisters?
Well, one would rather do too much and too little, darling. Do you think they may expect more?
Who knows what they'll expect?
Well, £2,000 all at once might overwhelm them and be spent unwisely, I suppose. Perhaps the yearly allowance then.
You always seem to live forever when there's a yearly allowance to be paid. Remember, dear, you gave them the best china.
Right, and China is a key consideration, of course. It is absolutely unnecessary to do more, I think, than to help them to move comfortably to their new home. Oh, how handsome and liberal you are, my lamb.
And so the young ladies and their mother are left in such reduced circumstances.
Well-bred young ladies cannot work. How will they survive?
How will the ladies ever catch a man?
Oh, well, as to that, I understand Mr. John Dashwood's brother, Mr. Edward Ferrers, is to move to Norland Park for a time. He is a bachelor.
And stands to inherit a large fortune.
If one of the Dashwoods can make a catch of him.
Mr. Ferrars.
Miss Dashwood, please pardon me. I did not intend to intrude.
Oh, no, you weren't intruding.
Oh, yes, I am writing. Letter. Yes. Oh, I see. Are you as well?
I am writing. Yes. Mr. Ferrars, pray do not leave. On my account, that is the light. It is very good here.
Miss Dashwood, I fear I have not yet had a proper occasion to express to you personally my very sincere condolences on the loss of your father.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Young ladies may not be alone with young men.
Miss Dashwood, I hope that my presence here has not caused you any additional distress at this sad time.
Oh, no, you needn't apologize. In fact, Mr. Forrest, I must thank you. My mother said only yesterday that your presence in Norland is a comfort.
Oh, I'm pleased that your mother is pleased. That is, might I inquire after Mrs. Ashton?
It is rather too early to think of any moderation in grief. My father's death, it is very difficult.
I imagine you must be a great comfort to her.
I attempt to be. I'm writing to our cousin, Sir John Middleton. He may have a cottage available for us in Devonshire. The rent is very reasonable.
It must be very difficult to leave your home.
Yes, we have been very happy here. I must not smudge this.
Miss Ashton, please forgive me. I do not intend to upset you.
Mr. Ferrars, I cannot use this.
Miss Ashton,
Oh,
I beg
no,
your
it's
pardon.
very, it's
No,
very
it's
kind. I beg
inexcusable.
your pardon.
I'm
No,
very,
please
very
don't. You
sorry.
don't just smear it.
Funny. Miss Ashton was just, she was
Edward.
kind.
There's ink on your face?
Does conscience does make cowards of us all? Does the native hue of resolution is sickly, or with the pale cast of thought?
Edward, Hamlet is not making polite conversation. In this speech, he is all of mankind, all of humankind, railing against the forces that would keep us sane, which prevents us from acting upon our soul's truest impulses. It is a desperate cry against the futility of a life less than entirely lived. You must be driven almost mad by passion, by rage, by the frail beauty of life itself!
Disregard their currents, turn away.
Edward, Shakespeare writes in a rhythm, which matches precisely the beats of the human heart. If your heart also beats, which I presume it does,
Yeah.
then you cannot help but feel the depth of Hamlet's text! And thus, the native hue of resolution is sicklied over the pale cast of thought.
With this regard, their currents turn away and lose the name of action.
Soft you know, the fair Ophelia!
Marianne!
Soft you now, the fair Ophelia.
Nymph in thy horizons.
Nymph in thy horizons, be all my sins remembered.
Oh, Edward.
I'm sorry.
A noble effort! Why would you give him Hamlet to begin with, Marianne?
Nay, Mama, if one is not to be animated by Hamlet.
Edward, you promised me you would show me new puppies before dinner!
I did. Shall we make a party of it?
Well, I have seen them already.
It must be a quick visit, Margaret. Please do wear your boots. It's raining.
I don't know where they are!
It's scarcely raining, Mama.
Come along.
What a pity it is, Eleanor, that Edward reads so spiritlessly.
Marianne, you've been hectoring him all afternoon and has only made him more self-conscious. If you would leave him alone for just a moment, I'm sure that he would read very well indeed.
I was only trying to help. Eleanor, are you truly offended?
Do you really think him spiritless?
I have the highest opinion possible of Edward, I assure you.
Must you always speak so warmly?
Don't you agree?
I think that Edward is very sensible. His mind is excellent, and if he's not always a brilliant orator, it is only shyness that impedes him.
Indeed.
He may not even be widely considered handsome. When you notice those eyes, which are uncommonly good, and the general sweetness of his expression, well then I find him very handsome indeed. But what say you, Marianne?
I swear that when you tell me to love him as a brother, I shall think him perfect indeed.
I do not deny that I think very highly of Edward, that I greatly esteem him, that I like him.
Esteem him? Like him? Cold-hearted Eleanor.
Well, excuse me of speaking such a quiet way of my feelings, but I do not think that Edward feels anything beyond friendship for me.
Eleanor?
He may have some kind of preference.
Aha!
But there are other points to be considered, Marianne. Edward is relying on his mother for a living, and he must obey her wishes on all things. Edward would face many obstacles if he wished to marry a woman with no fortune.
Miss Dashwood, dinner is served.
Eleanor, you must not be quiet. Edward is obviously so desperately in love with you, and no material obstacle can stand in the way of love for long. That means it is only a matter of time.
Before
Before he binds his soul to yours forever.
when you pick up such silly phrases, you're a goose! We must go in for dinner!
Right. Margaret, can you please pass that? Please.
There was a brown one and a white one and one that was almost all white, but with one brown spot in his ear. Do you think, Mama, that I may be able to have one as my particular pet? She could sleep in the barn.
We shall see, my dear. I do not know how much room we shall have in the new house.
How fortunate it is, madam, that you were able to find lodging so soon. We're very sorry to lose you, of course.
When exactly are you planning to move?
I might have immediate possession of the cottage, but I imagine it will be some months before we leave.
I do not think it right that you're moving so far away.
Not too far to visit. Then you and John will always be welcome. And Edward! I hope you will also come and visit us very soon.
I will, certainly. I will certainly visit soon.
But not too soon, Edward. You wouldn't want you cutting short your visit here. Then again, you have so many other obligations. You know, Mama expects you next month when Miss Morton is visiting.
I'm acquainted with Miss Morton. I'm sure I can manage both.
Edward, do not make promises that you cannot keep. My brother, you see, is very soft-hearted and wishes to please everyone at once. There's truly no limit to what my Edward can do, whether that be in the army, the law, or the government.
Ah, here.
But having such many talents can be rather burdensome. I must confess, I worry for him.
What do you mean, my love?
Why, my brother is a fox, and hallooing all around him are hunters and hounds. Ow!
A fox, Fanny.
I'm sorry, am I being quite abstract? Opportunities are always circling, waiting to pounce. A man on my brother's station will always attract, for example, upwardly minded young ladies. There is no predator so fierce, so shameless as a single woman in the desperate pursuit of a wealthy man. It is a sad reflection of our libertine age, but I do assure you that such fortune hunters are all too common. And I do use that term broadly.
Fanny,
What? I'm merely making conversation.
I misspoke earlier. We shall remove ourselves from this house within a week. No match at the expense. I've lost my appetite, girls. Come.
Miss Ashwood, I just wanted to say very safe travels to you.
It's so smart!
to my piano. You may spy on the neighbors.
Marianne,
You may not spy on the neighbors.
It is rather small, but I am sure we will soon have plenty of money. And then we may think about building.
Hello!
Hello!
Miss Dashwood, welcome, welcome! May I present to you my mother-in-law, Miss Jen?
Hello, how you do? Always so willing to meet your relation. Excuse these noisy devils. Hush!
Sir John, my daughter, Eleanor, Marianne, and Margaret.
You sing for your girls all the world. Hush!
I'm sure you left many broken young gentlemen in Hampshire.
You
Hush!
must, of course, die in part every day until you are settled. Come,
You must come. Hush!
We shall wait on you for dinner. It is no inconvenience.
Oh, ladies,
shall make friends
so
beside
dear.
you.
Respect the girls in all the world. Hush! I must apologize to you, Miss Eleanor and Miss Marianne. I was unable to get any eligible young bachelors here tonight. Just our particular friend, Colonel Brandon. Brandon, old boy, come and feast your eyes upon Miss Eleanor and Miss Marianne. Ah, Brandon, aren't they the most charming girls in all of England? To dinner, to dinner. I only hope you don't find it so very dull.
Miss Margaret, surely you can tell us the name of the man who's Miss Eleanor's particular favorite?
I must not tell them. May I, Eleanor?
Margaret, remember that whatever guesses you may have, you have no right to repeat them.
I never had any guesses about it. It was you who told me of it yourself. Ow!
Pray, Miss Margaret, let us know all about it. What is the gentleman's name?
I must not tell him, but I know very well what it is, and I know where he is too.
What is his profession?
He said no profession at all.
Margaret, you know that this is all of your own invention and there is no such person in existence.
Well then, he is lately dead, Marianne, for I am sure there was such a man once, and his name begins with an F.
Fraser?
Franz Ferdinand?
Feisenbaker.
Francisco Franco?
Fiber.
Fitzwilliam Darcy?
Braille.
Federer!
It has rained very hard recently. It has been raining every day for the last fortnight, I believe.
Rain. Shocking. Rain.
Yes, it's been a very wet spring.
Margaret, please be so good as to join me next to my piano.
Why? How?
Oh, Miss Marianne, do you play?
please do excuse my sister's enthusiasm.
No, pound away, by all means.
Yes, we are all prepared to be charmed.
Yes, very fond of music.
Oh, Colonel Brandon is very much in love with Miss Marianne Dashwood. It is an excellent match, for he is rich and she is beautiful, and I am sure he need not wait any longer. Colonel Brandon is a very eligible bachelor, a bit long in the tooth. Lady Bradley's daughter set her cap at him, and that was 10 years ago.
Oh, that great big property inherited. I can't think of it. Yet I am breathless.
Such a sober man, a young woman's touch would liven him. A young, pretty woman either breathe life into him or kill him within a fortnight. A match, a perfect match. I will find a good husband for every decent girl in the county. Mark my words. Shall I show you the poems? Colonel Brandon is old enough to be my father, and if he was ever animated enough to be in love, he has long out of the sensation. Is it that bad? Yesterday, he spoke of his flannel vest, and a flannel vest breaking joints, the commonest sign of declining life.
My dearest child, you estimate the colonel thus. He must be in continual terror of my day. It must be a miracle to you that I still live.
Nay, Mama, you're not giving me any Brandon is not in any immediate danger of death. He may live 20 years longer, but a man of his age should have nothing to do with my marriage.
Perhaps a man of his age and a lady of your age should have nothing to do with marriage together. But if there were a woman single at 30, I do not think that anyone would object to the Colonel marrying her.
A woman of 30 can never hope to feel or inspire affection again.
Miss Dashwood, I'm here to post your letters if there are any.
I will take them.
Margaret, will you go and get your boots on?
We're not still going for a walk, are we? It's going to rain.
No, it is not. No, go and get your boots on, please. Boots. Why hasn't Edward visited yet? What?
Marianne, are you still going for a walk? It looks as if it's going to rain.
Marianne! All this talk about wet spring. It is not going to rain. This day will be everlasting fair. Now come along.
A very wet spring. They'll be soaked through.
Mama! Eleanor! Marianne fell and hurt her ankle, and a gentleman grabbed her right up.
Margaret, what on earth?
Marianne's preserver! Marianne's preserver! Marianne's preserver!
Patsy, Margaret, run and tell Betsy what happened.
Please, ma'am, forgive my intrusion. The lady took a tumble and was not able to stand.
Young men may not touch young ladies they do not know.
Heavens, you were there. Please, sir, will you sit and take some tea?
Oh, I am dirty and wet, and I wouldn't like to spoil any of your beautiful furniture.
Might I ask her who was so obliged?
My name is John Willoughby, and I hope, ma'am, that you will allow me the honor of calling tomorrow to inquire after Miss...
Dashwood is our name. I am Mrs. Dashwood. These are my daughters, Eleanor, Margaret, and Mary.
Marianne.
You'll be very welcome, Mr. Willoughby. We do not wait for the rain to clear.
Oh, my dogs are outside, and also a little more rain won't melt me. Until tomorrow.
Marianne's gallant preserver.
And then Mama asked him whether he would sit down, but he would not, as he was so muddy and dirty. But he's to call again today.
You know any gentleman by the name of Willoughby?
Willoughby? What, is he in the county? He's down here every spring. Must invite him to dinner.
And what sort of young man is he?
Oh, as good a fellow as ever lived. Not a bolder rider, either.
And where is his residence?
Mr. Willoughby has no property of his own in this county. He resides here only when visiting his rich old cousin, Mrs. Smith, at Allenham Court. He's to inherit the estate and her entire fortune eventually.
Oh,
He is very well worth catching, Miss Dashwood. And if I were you, I would not leave him to my younger sister so easily. Miss Marianne can expect to have all the gentlemen to herself. Brandon will be jealous if she does not take care.
My daughters, Sir John, have not been brought up to catch gentlemen. I'm very glad to hear, however, that he is a respectable young man.
of course he is respectable, Mama.
I see how it is. You'll be setting your cap at him now, and not even think of poor old Brandon. How can he compete with all this tumbling about and spraining of ankles?
Cooper.
Yes, I dare say that Scott or Pope is a more serious-minded answer, but yes, Cooper is my favorite poet of our time.
Cooper may indeed be the greatest poet of any time. Frank, what is your favorite poem, Mr. Willoughby?
Mine must be
Pope.
Oh, see me sworn to serve thee and command the painter's skill into a poet's hand.
That will I, trembling, trace a work divine, fast Perhaps you may stand aloof from their desire.
And light and shade and every stroke be thine.
Oh, Mr. Willoughby, won't you join us for dinner?
Oi, had no idea it was so late. I must go and dine with my cousin. Until tomorrow.
Oh, Marianne, nobody can ever accuse you of being too reserved.
Eleanor, you're right. I have been too much at ease, too happy, too frank. I have been open and sincere when I ought to be spiritless and dull. I suppose I should have talked about the weather, or the roads, or spoken once every 10 minutes. Or better yet, never spoken at all.
My love, she is only teasing you. Eleanor, surely we would never wish to check Marianne's conversations with her new friend.
A love match indeed.
I hear that Mr. Willoughby visits the Mustachiots every day, scooping her up in the driving rain.
Add a horde of gypsies and you'd have a penny novel.
Married within a month. Mark my words.
He has no money to marry. Depends entirely on that old cousin.
And stands to inherit a large fortune. Once they are married, they'll be wealthy and handsome. What much could one wish for? Oh, this is indeed the season of my happiness.
What a pearl, Colonel Brandon.
Colonel Brandon? Colonel Brandon in his wet spring.
Colonel Brandon is the type of man that everybody speaks well of, but, well, nobody cares about.
Why should you dislike him?
Why should you like him?
He is very civil. He's seen a great deal of the world, and he always answers my inquiries with good breeding and good nature.
That is to say that he told you that in India the climate is hot and the mosquitoes are troublesome.
You're both so unfair to him, and is not kind of either of you.
In defense of your protege, Miss Dashwood, you can even be saucy.
My protege, as you call him, is a sensible man, and sense will always have attractions for me. Yes, Marianne, even a man over 40.
Oh, he is. Very respectable, don't get me wrong. As respectable as a statue or as a monument. Or terribly stiff, perfectly inhuman colonel. I'm so surprised that he can bend at the waist.
Well, I've always found him to be the perfect gentleman.
But not me.
Eleanor!
No. I'm afraid that she is only too right. Please, forgive me, Miss Dashwood. I, John Willoughby, hereby declare that Colonel Brandon's character is completely and entirely perfect. And yet somehow, I seem to dislike him as much as ever. Speak of the devil.
Never safe from him.
You have poor timing, Brandon. I was just about to show Miss Marianne to the greenhouse. There are some terribly beautiful orchids over there.
Orchids? Yes! We must go see the orchids. I so adore an orchid. Please excuse us for a moment.